The Chiefs are on the clock. With the next pick, the Raiders are on the clock. The Minnesota Vikings are now on the clock. Next up, it's the Broncos on the clock. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. The Jaguars are on the clock now. It's the New Orleans Saints now on the clock. On the clock now, the Dallas Cowboys. The Los Angeles Rams now on the clock. With the next selection, the Lions are on the clock. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. Now on the clock, the Texans. The Colts now on the clock. With the next selection, the Falcons are on the clock. The Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock. On the clock now, the Houston Texans. The Chargers are up now. They're on the clock. The Bengals now on the clock. The Detroit Lions now on the clock. Now on the clock, the Rams. It's the Dallas Cowboys now on the clock. On the clock now, the Seattle Seahawks. On the clock now, the New Orleans Saints. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Denver Broncos. And now on the clock, the Minnesota Vikings. The Las Vegas Raiders now on the clock. With the next pick, the Kansas City Chiefs are now on the clock. With the next selection, the Browns are on the clock. The Green Bay Packers are on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Tennessee Titans. It's the Bears now on the clock. The New York Jets are now on the clock. On the clock now, the Baltimore Ravens. The Philadelphia Eagles on the clock now. Now on the clock, the Giants. It's now the Arizona Cardinals selection. They're on the clock. Now on the clock, the Washington Commanders. The 49ers on the clock now. With the next pick, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. Next up, it's the Dolphins on the clock. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now on the clock. The San Francisco 49ers are now on the clock. With the next selection, it's the Washington Commanders. And now, on the clock, it's the Arizona Cardinals. The New York Giants are now on the clock. Now we turn to the Eagles. They're on the clock. The Baltimore Ravens are on the clock now. The New York Jets on the clock now. On the clock now, the Chicago Bears. On the clock now, it's the Green Bay Packers. It's the Cleveland Browns, now on the clock. On the clock now, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. It's the Bills, now on the clock. It's now the Vikings' turn. On the clock. The Denver Broncos are now on the clock. It's the Bucks now on the clock. With the next pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. The New Orleans Saints are now on the clock. Now the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. On the clock now, the Los Angeles Rams. On the clock now, the Detroit Lions. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. The Los Angeles Chargers now on the clock. On the clock now, the Houston Texans. It's now the Indianapolis Colts selection. The Atlanta Falcons are now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Atlanta Falcons. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. The Houston Texans are now on the clock. Now on the clock, the Los Angeles Chargers. With the next selection, The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. The Los Angeles Rams are up. They're on the clock. It's the Cowboys now on the clock. The Seattle Seahawks are now on the clock. With the next selection, the Saints are on the clock. On the clock now, the Jacksonville Jaguars. On the clock now, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Minnesota Vikings, now on the clock. Now on the clock, it's the Las Vegas Raiders. The Cleveland Browns are now on the clock. The Green Bay Packers are now on the clock. Next up, the Titans are on the clock. The Chicago Bears are on the clock now. The Baltimore Ravens now on the clock. And now on the clock, it's the 49ers. The Arizona Cardinals are now on the clock. Next up, the Commanders are on the clock. With the next selection, the Carolina Panthers on the clock. Now on the clock, the San Francisco 49ers. It's the Steelers now on the clock. The Miami Dolphins now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Miami Dolphins. The Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock now. It's now the San Francisco 49ers pick. They're up. It's the Carolina Panthers, now on the clock. The Washington Commanders are now on the clock. The New York Giants on the clock. It's the Philadelphia Eagles, now on the clock. Next up, the Jets are on the clock. The Chicago Bears are now on the clock. Next up, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock. The Kansas City Chiefs, now on the clock. With the next pick, the Raiders are on the clock. On the clock now, the Buffalo Bills. The Minnesota Vikings are now on the clock. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. The Jaguars are on the clock. It's the New Orleans Saints, now on the clock. The Dallas Cowboys are now on the clock. It's the Detroit Lions, now on the clock. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Los Angeles Chargers. The Colts, now on the clock. It's the Atlanta Falcons, now on the clock. The Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock. Now on the clock, the Texans. The Chargers are up now. They're on the clock. The Bengals now on the clock. With the next selection, the Lions are on the clock. On the clock now, the Dallas Cowboys. On the clock now, the New Orleans Saints. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. The Denver Broncos are on the clock. It's the Buffalo Bills now on the clock. The Las Vegas Raiders now on the clock. The Chiefs are on the clock. With the next selection, the Browns are on the clock. Next up, it's the Packers on the clock. It's the Bears now on the clock. With the next selection, the New York Jets. With the next selection, the Ravens are on the clock. Now on the clock, the Giants. The Cardinals on the clock now. Now on the clock, the Washington Commanders. The Carolina Panthers now on the clock. The 49ers on the clock now. With the next selection, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. With the next pick, The Miami Dolphins are on the clock. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now on the clock. The San Francisco 49ers are now on the clock. The Panthers are on the clock. With the next selection, it's the Washington Commanders. The New York Giants are now on the clock. Up next, the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock. The New York Jets are now on the clock. On the clock now, the Chicago Bears. The Green Bay Packers are on the clock. With the next pick, the Kansas City Chiefs are now on the clock. The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. And now on the clock, the Minnesota Vikings. It's the Bucks, now on the clock. The Jaguars are on the clock now. The New Orleans Saints are now on the clock. Next up, it's the Seahawks on the clock. The Los Angeles Rams now on the clock. The Detroit Lions now on the clock. The Los Angeles Chargers now on the clock. On the clock now, the Houston Texans. It's now the Indianapolis Colts selection. With the next selection, the Falcons are on the clock. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. On the clock now, the Houston Texans. Now on the clock, the Los Angeles Chargers. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. On the clock now, the Detroit Lions. Now on the clock, the Rams. It's the Dallas Cowboys now on the clock. With the next pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next up, it's the Broncos on the clock. It's now the Vikings' turn on the clock. Now on the clock, it's the Las Vegas Raiders. It's the Cleveland Browns, now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Green Bay Packers. The Chicago Bears are on the clock now. The New York Jets on the clock now. On the clock now, the Baltimore Ravens. And now on the clock, it's the 49ers. It's now the Arizona Cardinals selection. They're on the clock. Next up, the Commanders are on the clock. Now on the clock, the San Francisco 49ers. Next up, it's the Dolphins on the clock. It's the Steelers now on the clock. It's now the San Francisco 49ers pick. They're up. The Washington Commanders are now on the clock. And now on the clock, it's the Arizona Cardinals. The New York Giants on the clock. The Philadelphia Eagles on the clock now. The Baltimore Ravens are on the clock now. Next up, the Jets are on the clock. The Chicago Bears are now on the clock. The Green Bay Packers are now on the clock. On the clock now, the Kansas City Chiefs. With the next pick, the Raiders are on the clock. The Buffalo Bills are now on the clock. The Minnesota Vikings, now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Denver Broncos. On the clock now, the Jacksonville Jaguars. On the clock now, the Seattle Seahawks. It's the Cowboys, now on the clock. It's the Detroit Lions, now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Los Angeles Chargers. The Houston Texans are now on the clock. The Colts, now on the clock. The Atlanta Falcons are now on the clock. The Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock. Now on the clock, the Texans. The Chargers are up now. They're on the clock. With the next selection, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. With the next selection, the Lions are on the clock. The Dallas Cowboys are now on the clock. With the next selection, the Saints are on the clock. The Jaguars are on the clock. The Denver Broncos are now on the clock. The Las Vegas Raiders now on the clock. The Cleveland Browns are now on the clock. Next up, it's the Packers on the clock. It's the Bears now on the clock. With the next selection, the New York Jets. The Baltimore Ravens now on the clock. Now on the clock, the Giants. The Arizona Cardinals are now on the clock. Now on the clock, the Washington Commanders. The 49ers on the clock now. The Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock now. The Miami Dolphins now on the clock. With the next selection, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. The San Francisco 49ers are now on the clock. With the next selection, the Carolina Panthers on the clock. With the next selection, it's the Washington Commanders. The Cardinals on the clock now. The New York Giants are now on the clock. With the next selection, the Ravens are on the clock. The New York Jets are now on the clock. On the clock now, the Chicago Bears. The Green Bay Packers are on the clock. Next up, the Cleveland Browns are on the clock. The Kansas City Chiefs now on the clock. It's the Bills now on the clock. The Minnesota Vikings are now on the clock. The Jaguars are on the clock now. It's the New Orleans Saints, now on the clock. On the clock now, the Dallas Cowboys. The Detroit Lions now on the clock. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. The Los Angeles Chargers now on the clock. It's now the Indianapolis Colts selection. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. On the clock now, the Houston Texans. Now on the clock, the Los Angeles Chargers. The Bengals now on the clock. On the clock now, the Detroit Lions. It's the Dallas Cowboys now on the clock. Now the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. On the clock now, the New Orleans Saints. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. The Denver Broncos are on the clock. On the clock now, the Buffalo Bills. The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. With the next selection, the Browns are on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Green Bay Packers. The Chicago Bears are on the clock now. On the clock now, the Baltimore Ravens. Now we turn to the Eagles. They're on the clock. And now on the clock, it's the 49ers. Next up, the Commanders are on the clock. Now on the clock, the San Francisco 49ers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Miami Dolphins. It's the Steelers now on the clock. It's now the San Francisco 49ers pick. They're up. It's the Carolina Panthers now on the clock. The Washington Commanders are now on the clock. It's now the Arizona Cardinals selection. They're on the clock. The New York Giants on the clock. The Baltimore Ravens are on the clock now. The New York Jets on the clock now. The Chicago Bears are now on the clock. The Green Bay Packers are now on the clock. The Chiefs are on the clock. It's the Buffalo Bills now on the clock. And now on the clock, the Minnesota Vikings. Next up, it's the Broncos on the clock. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. With the next pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. The New Orleans Saints are now on the clock. It's the Cowboys now on the clock. It's the Detroit Lions now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Los Angeles Chargers. The Colts now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Atlanta Falcons. The Indianapolis Colts are now on the clock. On the clock now, the Houston Texans. The Chargers are up now. They're on the clock. With the next selection, the Lions are on the clock. The Dallas Cowboys are now on the clock. With the next selection, the Saints are on the clock. It's the Bucks now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Denver Broncos. It's now the Vikings' turn. On the clock. Now on the clock, it's the Las Vegas Raiders. With the next pick, the Kansas City Chiefs are now on the clock. It's the Cleveland Browns now on the clock. Next up, it's the Packers on the clock. It's the Bears now on the clock. Next up, the Jets are on the clock. The Baltimore Ravens now on the clock. Now on the clock, the Giants. And now on the clock, it's the Arizona Cardinals. Now on the clock, the Washington Commanders. The 49ers on the clock now. The Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock now. With the next pick, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. Next up, it's the Dolphins on the clock. The San Francisco 49ers are now on the clock. The Carolina Panthers now on the clock. The Arizona Cardinals are now on the clock. The New York Giants are now on the clock. It's the Philadelphia Eagles now on the clock. With the next selection, the New York Jets. The Tennessee Titans are now on the clock. The Cleveland Browns are now on the clock. On the clock now, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills are now on the clock. The Minnesota Vikings now on the clock. On the clock now, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the New Orleans Saints, now on the clock. On the clock now, the Dallas Cowboys. The Detroit Lions now on the clock. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. The Los Angeles Chargers now on the clock. The Houston Texans are now on the clock. It's now the Indianapolis Colts selection. It's the Atlanta Falcons now on the clock.
Some of those in the silver-haired community would say it's a great day for golf, and it is, don't get me wrong, but we say it's a great day for football, and the roof is wide open here in Glendale at State Farm Stadium. Today we've got a Week 5 matchup in store here, as it'll be the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Strap in. This will be a good one. 2 one-loss teams getting together as they're underway on EA Sports. And it's a pretty good return here as he'll get this up to the 29. Now a 3-time 1,000-yard rusher, Joe Mixon. And he's going to take this ahead for right around 3 yards, but no more than that. Second down. Fields now to throw. And a big loss here as he's taken down. And award that sack to Boogie Basham.
I spent a lot of extra time preparing for this game watching this offensive line because they gave up 5 sacks last week in their loss. They just gave up another one now. They don't seem to be working together as a cohesive unit. Right? 4 guys might have it right, but the 5th guy is giving something up. They've got to find a way to all get on the same page.
They'll send a receiver in motion to the left. Now on 3rd and long, they'll look to throw. He gets this in the hands of Mixon. And he'll get it up near the 35, right at the 34 here. They'll get 17 back there, but it'll still lead to a 4th down. After last week's loss, you bet this offense probably wanted to come out with a little more fire than a 3 and out.
And I'm sure that people are saying, hey, come on, Coach, where was the pregame talk? Have these guys ready to go? But you and I both know it goes into preparation and practice and being ready to go. That gives you the confidence to come out and play. They've got to find that and fast.
Here we go on 4th down, Fields. And it's incomplete. They cannot convert, and they turn it over. A surprising move here on the opening drive of the game, and this defense delivers a turnover on downs on the very first drive of the afternoon. From the 34 now, here's 1st and 10. To throw is Murray. And that's going to be incomplete. Too tough to hold on to that one. It's 2nd down. You talk about this Bengals defense. It's quite a unit. Number 1 in the NFL against the pass.
And I'm struggling a little bit trying to really categorize this crew. They're top 10 in the league against the pass, but the bottom half of the league in sacking the quarterback. That doesn't make sense. Imagine if this group ever put pressure on the QB, they'd easily move into the top 5.
4 yards the gain, and it'll bring up a 3rd down.
Typically, we think it's the strong safeties that are better tacklers, especially closer to the line of scrimmage amidst traffic. But in this case, how about the free safety coming up and making the big-time play?
Here's Murray as he sets to throw it. Got his man. It's London. And he'll be taken down, but he does have 1st down yardage. That good for 19 yards as they pick up the conversion on 3rd. And they'll let the quarterback keep it here on 1st and 10. And he probably should have given that one off as he's going to get hit and taken down behind the line. Give all that credit defensively to Khalil Mack. A great stop in the backfield. So a 5-yard run the other way in the wrong direction, and that leads us to 2nd and 15. Here's Murray. Flush to his right. And he'll get 7 yards from the 17 to the 10 before he's taken down.
And there's the beauty of Kyler Murray, because we all know he can get it done through the air. A terrific right arm, and nowadays we don't even talk about his height anymore. He's shown that he can see downfield and make throws, but he also possesses wide receiver speed. He can call his own number or scramble and turn it into a big play as well. Kyler Murray, a dual threat at the quarterback position.
On play action, it's Murray. Escaping the pressure right. And it's intercepted at the goal line. And the Bengals are going to take possession here at their own 3-yard line. A turnover is obviously, Charles, always costly, but man, when you throw those interceptions in the end zone like that, it really stings.
He tried to fit that one into his tight end, and I often use the expression NFL open, which means a tighter window. Down near the goal line, you really want him to be open. In this case, it cost him.
Meanwhile, Fields' throw complete to McBride. And he's going to be out of bounds up past the 5. It'll go as a gain of 4, and that'll bring up second down. Well, that tight end position, it just seems to continue to evolve every year in the NFL.
Yeah, you're getting really terrific athletes. A lot of them maybe were wide receivers at one point. That continue to give you speed, great hands, and big bodies, which make them excellent targets for quarterbacks.
Oh, he tried to fit it in on the slant, and it's intercepted. It's Chuck Clark picking it off, and they will score. It's a pick-6 for the Cardinals touchdown. But what a response by that defensive unit, Charles, because they just saw their offense throw the interception. They come out there, not only get an interception of their own, but they take it back for the touchdown.
I won't sing it because no one wants to hear that, but perhaps in early case of anything you can do, I can do better between these defenses. A lot of people came to expect the offense to light this game up, but so far, the defenses are stealing the show.
And they will wrangle it down a couple yards shy of the 30. The Cincy offense about ready to go here on their next drive. Not only are they in search of their first score, they're in search of their first down in this ball game as they come up 1st and 10. Now, he'll be stopped at the 35, but not before he picks up 7 yards. From the 35, here's 2nd and 3. Now Fields. That is incomplete. Look at this Arizona defense. They were excellent in that win over the 49ers last week.
Have to admit, I was extremely impressed by what I saw. They ended up getting 4 sacks in the game, stayed in the face of the quarterback the entire time, made it difficult for him to step up and find receivers downfield.
And that's what they told us this week, that pressure on the QB is key. Fields on 3rd down. This goes out wide for Mixon. Throwing again is Fields. And his throw is incomplete. And this passing game's whole offense really didn't show up in the loss last week, and it hasn't started all that great here either.
Yeah, and they can't let that incompletion become an uh-oh moment. Like, oh boy, here we go again, just like last week. Each game is its own entity, treated as such.
Fields' throw complete to Dotson. 4 yards the gain, and it'll bring up a 3rd down. This defense for the Cards, they were excellent in that win over the 49ers last week.
I have to admit, I was extremely impressed by what I saw on tape because they stayed in the face of the quarterback the entire game, ended up getting 4 sacks total, and made it difficult for him to step up and find receivers downfield. Also made it hard for him to escape the pocket and run.
The result, only 4 yards there on the play. And that'll bring up 4th down.
A short gain that doesn't get them the 1st down brings up a 4th down situation.
Really nice job defensively. They knew where the sticks were. They got the stop before it. And How about the call here? They need 2 yards in their own territory on 4th down, and they're going to go for it. They snap it to Fields. Flushed out right. And Fields going to have the first down before sliding to a halt to avoid the contact. Give them credit. They knew what they wanted to dial up on 4th. They executed it for 9 yards, and the offense stays out there. Mixon with a first down carry. And very little there. He might have gotten a yard. Yeah, I think he got a yard to the 41.
Well, sometimes you just have to give credit to the defense. Great job there at the point of attack, holding up. They won their battles at the line of scrimmage, left him no space to try and run. A really nice job swarming to the ball carrier.
And we're at the 41, 2nd and 9. Fields. And this one is going to be off the mark, too far out in front.
Zone coverage there, and they were playing deep. That makes it obviously a little bit harder to run by guys. And that time, there was not much of a window to get the ball in there, and it winds up incomplete.
The line to gain is the 33 on 3rd down. Back to throw, Fields. Able to connect with Dotson. And they're going to have another first down as the tackle's made here at the Cardinals' 21. Nice 3rd down conversion and even 20 yards. This offense finding its legs now. Here's another 1st and 10. They go back to the ground now with Mixon. Credit him with a 1-yard gain there to make it 2nd and 9.
Oh, there's plenty of traffic waiting for him up the middle. But give him credit, he tried barreling through anyway. They're fortunate to get a yard out of that one.
From the 21, here's a 2nd down and 9. Here's Fields. He's got McBride here over the middle. 19 yards on the pickup there, and now they'll have it 1st and goal. Mixon will take this one in. Touchdown, Cincinnati. He finishes off the drive with a touchdown run, Charles. Remember, he also had a catch on this drive as well.
And that's what running backs want to be in today's NFL, a complete back. 3 down, stay on the field, run it, and catch it. And he gets it done.
Tucker able to connect on the extra point, and we are tied at 7. So all even at 7 now as they kick it away. This taken in at the goal line. And he'll go down as this drive will start at the 25-yard line. Arizona's offense at the line, ready to get their drive started. They had the interception last drive, led to the tying touchdown, so 7-7 the score as they begin 1st and 10. He's going deep for Brown, and that is incomplete. Took a shot there on 1st down, but he couldn't reel it in.
That's some good closing speed there defensively because that looked open for a minute. But that's great work with the ball in the air. Never gave up, converged on his man, and broke the play up.
Throwing now is Murray. And that'll be incomplete. Took a pretty good shot as he tried to pull that one in. Couldn't hang on 3rd down.
Well, he certainly thought he had an open look beyond the 1st down marker to his receiver, but they just couldn't connect, and that will send them back to the drawing board.
So back-to-back incompletions, and that has them staring at a 3rd and 10. Murray going to throw. He gets this one complete to Traquan Smith.
Even against double coverage, he found enough of an opening for a noticeable gain. 2 guys on him, yet he finds a way to uncover downfield for the completion.
First down, here's Mitchell. And he'll take this ahead for about 4. Second down coming up. The Cardinals at 3-1 here through their first 4 games. And they're hitting their stride of late. Winners of 3 of their last 4.
And I thought that they played pretty well last week. Their execution, their discipline, their resilience, all on display in that victory.
Here's Murray. And that's going to be incomplete. Good effort there, trying to take a shot, but it's 3rd down.
They decided the opportunity was there and launched a deep ball, but he was unable to get away from the defender, couldn't create space, couldn't uncover at the end of the route, and that one winds up incomplete.
Now Murray. Now he's going to get this all the way down inside the 35. A good pickup there at 22. And I guess, Charles, sometimes when you have a receiver well over 6 foot, you do that. Just put it up there, let him grab it, and he did.
And it certainly appears like a 50-50 ball, right? We always talk about that when both sides have a chance to get it, the receiver or the guy covering him. But I think the odds actually are in favor of the offense. They can see the ball coming oftentimes before the defender can get his head around. So I think that really goes to like 70-30, and they should be able to go up and get it most of the time.
And he got it there. Back to the ground here, Mitchell. And he'll be brought down right on the edge of the goal line at about the 1-yard line. Big gains in succession. Last one was over 20. This one over 30.
I hope we give enough respect to the big guys up front because they have been getting it done on this drive. The holes have been large, and they've been barreling through and picking up first downs.
Mitchell is in. Touchdown, Arizona. Well, nothing fancy there, Charles. You had 3 tight ends on the field. They were going to run the football. The defense knew it, but the defense couldn't stop them.
And I haven't met an offensive line yet that doesn't get more satisfaction out of running the football into the end zone than pass protecting. They had determination on their side, and they got it done.
Extra point up and good by Shudak. And that makes the score 14-7. Sanchez now. He'll kick it away following the touchdown. And no return on this one as the fair catch is signaled for and taken. The Bengals drive about to get going. And Charles, we'll see what they can do here. Not a ton of time left, but enough certainly to get points out of this drive, and they need them right now because they're trailing.
Yeah, and this is exactly why you practice a 2-minute drill all through camp and at least one practice each week before a game. A minute left, more than enough time to string a few completions together, reach the end zone, and then make that walk back to the locker room just a little more animated.
Nothing open downfield, so he'll throw it away.
Well, this is a half where not just the coverage, but the entire defense is setting the tone in this game.
An incomplete pass leads to 2nd and 10 from the 25. To throw is Fields. He'll find his running back, Joe Mixon. And he's upended at the 33, following a good pickup of 8. 3rd and 2, Fields. A short one here, caught by McBride. And he gets this up across the 35 before he's out of bounds. Only 3 there on the pickup, but that's enough to move the chains.
Many different ways to create space, but on that play, he did it with that big, wide body of his. Didn't get a whole lot of yardage on the play, but it did what it was supposed to. Pick up a first down.
Fields throwing again. And that's caught inside the 35. So now then, the big play has him all the way inside the 30 now, 1st and 10.
Short one here, caught by McBride.
And he'll be out of bounds just inside the 25-yard line. So the completion good for 6 yards. And it's 2nd down.
Now it's Fields.
Eluding the pressure right. And he'll go out of bounds in the red zone just inside the 20. He'll wind up getting 4 there on his own, but it will leave him now with a 3rd down situation.
So they just need 1 yard here to pick up the 1st down. Fields to throw on 3rd and 1.
And he's got it. Touchdown, Bengals.
Jahan Dotson.
As the first half is winding down.
And the Bengals have a chance to tie the game here in the final seconds of the half.
Tucker with the extra point. And that is going to tie our game as we approach halftime.
So not much time to speak of remaining in this first half as the kick's away. From the end zone, it's Dearness Johnson. And tackled at the 21-yard line, so a net negative there of 4 yards.
Ready to go with their next drive, and at the line, the Cardinal offense.
And with 8 seconds on the clock, really not a lot of time to try to put anything together.
And he's tackled a yard short of the marker. Good gain of 9 on 1st down. Now whistles and a timeout with 3 seconds left in the first half. And they line up now for what will likely be the last play of the first half. A final shot before half from Murray. He's going to rifle one deep left side.
Oh, into a sea of defenders and intercepted.
Picked up by Sean Murphy-Bunting.
And he will be brought down on what will be the final play of this first half.
So thanks to the late touchdown, it's a tie ball game here heading to break. As now we send you out to Orlando and hook back up with Jonathan Coachman for our EA Sports Halftime Report. And ready to get the party started for the second half. It was an even first half, all tied on the scoreboard. And they will not get a chance to return this one as it's through the end zone for a touchback. Arizona's offense at the line, ready to get their drive started.
This offense ready for the first drive of the third quarter. Well, quarters number 1 and 2 entertaining. We saw some good offense points put up, Charles, and all tied on the scoreboard.
And it sets us up for what could be a really fun second half because we've seen both sides score almost at will here in the first half. And now, here in the second half, getting the ball first, you've got to think, hey, we can go out and really run our offense the way we did in the first half. But if I'm a defensive player, all I'm thinking is, can I make a play to really help out my team and break this streak of offense?
The last play got just a yard. Here's 2nd and 9 from the 26.
Brown, the motion man right. And he'll get an opportunity with it on the touch pass.
And he'll be out of bounds right at the 40. That goes for 14 yards, first down Cardinals.
But just a simple tap pass, but it pays off in a big way.
And sometimes the simple stuff causes the most problems for a defense because there's a breakdown in communication there. When that receiver goes behind the line of scrimmage and it looks like he's going in motion, someone either has to go with him or he has to be passed off to another defender. Somehow they didn't get that communicated well, and it turned into a nice play. Not a huge carry there on first down, but not all of them will be. But still, all in all, a positive play for the offense. It's all about picking up at least a few to set up what you're going to do here on second down.
Oh, they've intercepted Murray for the 3rd time. And And the Bengals are going to have it here just past the 25. First possession of the third quarter, an interception, so maybe a second-half tone setter.
Indeed, and not the tone they wanted to set. That's the equivalent of running out the wrong door and running into your pool instead of running out onto the field. A real dud for that one.
Has that happened to you before?
No, but I've heard stories about teams actually doing that back in the good old days.
The Cincy offense about ready to go here on their next drive. He'll get a yard, that's all, as they get him down at the 28.
Well, they're hoping that the second half is better for him than the first half. They've got to find a way to get him going. He's a big part of their offense.
Ball on the 28-yard line. Here's a 2nd and 9. Out of the gun, Fields. And it's incomplete.
Well, we all know possessions are crucial in a tie game, and let's face it, I really didn't need to tell you that. You already knew it. So when he sees he's got nothing good going, an excellent decision to just send that one to the sideline.
After an incomplete pass on 2nd down, that'll leave him trying to convert on 3rd and 9. Here's Fields. And that will be incomplete. So it doesn't look like they're going to be able to build off the turnover.
Well, the defense certainly did its part. It got them the football. But you're exactly right. It looks like they're going to have to punt this one away. And it's not a turnover, but doesn't it feel like one after grabbing the momentum with the defensive play?
Yeah, and they had all that momentum after getting the football and now zapped right back in the other direction. The offense going to stay out there. They've converted once, failed once. What can they do here on 4th down? They're going to go. It's Fields. And they will touch him down, but not before he gets the first. Inside handoff to Mixon. And this winds up a pickup of 2, maybe 2.5 to about the 39.
I'd say they've got to find a way to get him going. He's such a big part of their offense. I wonder if they might throw it a little and come back to the run.
Anything, because you're right. He's pretty much been completely neutralized. Ball on the 39. Here's 2nd down and 8. Operating from the gun. Fields throwing over the middle, but it's incomplete.
I think he could have scanned downfield forever, but there wasn't anything available. Ends up throwing an incompletion, and I think he'll take that.
7th play of the drive, forthcoming on 3rd and 8. Back to throw. Fields. Throw left side complete. That's Smith. And he is going to have a Bengals first down as they're able to get the 3rd down conversion.
I don't care how many times we see it. I still get a kick out of watching quarterbacks and receivers do the pass tree in pregame warm-up. But I always remember that when we go to practices, we see that after practices as well. They really tune it up, don't they?
They tune it up. They know why they do it for these situations. First down.
And they build that trust, and that's why they're able to find him in this type of a situation.
And he's left with no option here but to throw it away.
Nice progress down the field, was halted by that incompletion. They could try for some safe yards here to get things moving again, or keep throwing it and pushing it downfield to try and pick up bigger yardage.
And that is incomplete. A lot of force bearing down on him there. He could not hang on. It's 3rd down.
As soon as he leaked out and began his route, someone on the defensive side broke with him and arrived just in time to separate him from another reception.
To the air again, Fields. Now a diving effort right sideline. He's got it. That'll give him 60 yards receiving now as he's got a first down.
He may go back to the huddle and have a little discussion with his passer. You know, maybe you don't have to leave me quite that much. But on that play, bailed him out in a big way, didn't he?
He did indeed. Hey, at least he gets to put it on the highlight reel. And nothing much materializing there on the first down run. He'll get a couple, and that's it. On 2nd down, here's Fields.
His throw incomplete.
His back has been a dependable safety valve all game, so he went back to him when his first read was covered. Just unable to connect, so the play results in no gain.
So third down now. They need the 27-yard line for a first.
From the gun, here's Fields. Pass to the right, and he's got McBride.
And they're going to have another first down as the tackle's made here at the Cardinals' 25-yard line. Give them 10 yards there as this offense is on a roll. This drive continues to plunge forward. Mixing up the middle. And not a whole lot of room to operate there on the first down run. He gets maybe 3.
Yeah, I don't know if it's exactly a win-win, but if you're on offense, you'll take that kind of a run, all right? It was kind of stacked up, found a little bit of yardage, and frankly, they're pretty close to staying on schedule on offense. The playbook is still open for the coordinator.
Looking to throw on second down. Fields
to Mixon on the check down. So give him 5 yards there on the pitch and catch. And now that sets up 3rd and 2.
A shotgun snap, Fields.
And he's going to go down. Back at the 27-yard line, he's sacked.
Loss of 10 as multiple defenders get to him.
Now Justin Tucker's out to try the field goal. This from 44 yards away. Tucker's kick is good. And they take a 17-14 lead.
Well, whatever was said in the locker room during the break must have worked. They forced the turnover. They didn't get the touchdown, Charles, but it does translate into 3 points to begin this second half.
Exactly as they discussed in the locker room at halftime. Get some points to get things kick-started. Now start your half off with some momentum. Gives you something to build on for your next possession.
Ready to go with their next drive, and at the line, the Cardinal offense. And here we are almost through 3 quarters of play, and this passing game still has not really found any kind of rhythm.
Put it mildly, because they're not even over 100 yards yet. And in today's NFL, where it's a pass-first league, that is quite surprising. Not many teams patient enough to stick with the run. Everybody wants to advance the ball through the air. They've got to get their timing back.
Play action. Now it's Murray.
And that falls to the ground, incomplete. A nice job of bodying him up defensively, and now it brings up 3rd down.
Well, this at least is the right idea. I think they've got to get the tight end more involved.
He had just 1 target in the first half, incomplete. Now incomplete here with the first target of the second half.
Yeah, should not stop them at all from going back to him, though. Find him. Find him.
Murray now. And he is going to be taken down. And that should be the final play of this 3rd quarter. 3 quarters have come and gone. We'll return with more after this break. You're watching the NFL on EA Sports. Now here's Rigoberto Sanchez as the drive goes backwards, so he's on to punt it away. He only punted twice in the win last week as he gets this one away. Fielded at about the 28. And he's going to be out of bounds right at midfield. A great return there of 22 yards. And this offense will take over right at the midfield stripe with a 1st and 10. A very good starting field position for the Bengals here as they come up 1st and 10 right at the 50-yard line. Running left, it's Mixon. And he is met in his tracks behind the line of scrimmage. Officially, it's a 1-yard loss. That's going to bring up 2nd and 11. And the trend continues here in the 4th like it was in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. He's had nowhere to run.
And you're probably thinking to yourself, why do they keep feeding him the football? Well, they trust him first and foremost. They do believe that over time he might actually pop one of these runs. The bottom line is he takes care of the ball well for them, so they'll keep handing it to him.
That one covers 24 yards. It's a 1st down.